A chilling intelligence report has revealed that the United States and Israel jointly thwarted an Iranian plot to assassinate Israel's ambassador to Mexico, Einat Kranz Neiger, in what officials describe as one of the most brazen attempts yet by Tehran to expand its covert operations beyond the Middle East. According to US and Israeli officials, the plot traced to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its elite Quds force was neutralized before any attempt could be carried out. A senior US official said the effort had been contained and does not pose a current threat. Behind the plot, investigators identified Hassan Izadi, also known as Masoud Rahnama, a senior IRGC officer previously stationed at Iran's embassy in Venezuela. He is believed to have coordinated the operation through networks linked to the Iranian mission in Caracas, a strategic hub that analysts say Iran has used for covert influence and logistics in Latin America. Intelligence sources indicate that planning began in late 2024 amid mounting regional tensions between Israel and Iran. The plot matured through the first half of 2025, reportedly involving operatives recruited from Venezuela and possibly Central America. The intended target, Ambassador Einat Kranz Neiger, has served as Israel's top envoy in Mexico since 2021. The attempt, if successful, would have marked a dramatic escalation, a direct strike on an accredited diplomat on foreign soil. Officials say surveillance teams uncovered unusual movement patterns and communications linking suspected IRGC associates in Mexico City to known Quds force handlers abroad. These findings triggered a coordinated operation between US, Israeli and allied intelligence agencies, culminating in the disruption of the plot before any attack phase began. The US State Department confirmed the reports through multiple channels, emphasizing that Iranian-backed operations against diplomats have become a recurring pattern. One American intelligence official told reporters, "This is just the latest in a long history of Iran's global lethal targeting of diplomats, journalists, dissidents, and anyone who disagrees with them." Israel's foreign ministry released a rare public statement thanking Mexico for its cooperation in averting the attack. "We thank the security and law enforcement services in Mexico for thwarting a terrorist network directed by Iran that sought to attack Israel's ambassador in Mexico." Mexico's government, however, took a cautious stance. The Foreign and Security Ministry said they had no report with respect to a supposed attempt against the ambassador of Israel in Mexico. The discrepancy between Israel's gratitude and Mexico's denial has drawn attention to the sensitive nature of intelligence sharing and diplomatic coordination in such cases. Tehran, for its part, has not issued an official statement. Iran's mission to the United Nations declined to comment when pressed by international outlets. At the center of the operation lies Iran's Quds force, the external operations arm of the IRGC, long accused by Western intelligence agencies of orchestrating assassinations, kidnappings, and attacks across multiple continents. From Thailand and Bulgaria to Cyprus and Georgia, the Quds force has been linked to plots targeting Israeli and Western interests. But Latin America, and particularly Venezuela, has emerged as a new front. Over the past decade, Iran has deepened its presence in Venezuela through a web of economic, military and intelligence partnerships. Analysts say these networks provide Tehran with operational depth far from home. In this case, Venezuela's Iranian diplomatic infrastructure allegedly served as the logistical and recruitment hub for the plot in Mexico. Ambassador Einat Kranz Neiger, a seasoned Israeli diplomat, was reportedly unaware of the specific threat until the plot was neutralized. Her embassy in Mexico City has since increased security coordination with local and foreign agencies. For Israel, the targeting of an ambassador is especially symbolic. Diplomats represent the state's sovereign presence, and any attack against them is an attack on the state itself. Israeli intelligence officials privately described the plot as a message operation meant to demonstrate Iran's reach and intimidate Israeli envoys globally. But they also see its failure as a warning shot that Tehran's extraterritorial networks are now extending into regions once considered peripheral to the Iran-Israel conflict. The Mexican government's insistence that it was unaware of such a plot raises difficult questions about sovereignty and security cooperation. Mexico traditionally avoids deep involvement in Middle Eastern disputes, maintaining open relations with both Israel and Iran. Analysts suggest two possibilities: either Mexico's security agencies were quietly briefed but chose not to publicize their involvement, or the entire operation was conducted by external intelligence teams without direct coordination. Either scenario underscores the growing complexity of global counterterrorism cooperation, especially when high-stakes operations unfold within neutral territories. In 2022, for instance, U.S. federal prosecutors charged an IRGC operative with plotting to kill former U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton in retaliation for the killing of Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani. European intelligence agencies have also disrupted multiple Iranian-directed operations targeting exiled journalists and opposition activists. The Mexico plot, if confirmed, would mark a geographic expansion of those activities, showing that Tehran's shadow war with Israel and the West now spans nearly every continent. In Washington, officials underscored that such acts would be met with coordinated resistance. One senior national security source said the U.S. continues to monitor Iranian activities across Latin America, Europe, and Asia, and would not tolerate direct threats against allied diplomats. The State Department's statement emphasized cooperation. The plot was contained and does not pose a current threat. U.S. Enterprises official in Jerusalem, the revelation has further hardened Israel's stance toward Iran. Officials there see the plot as confirmation that Tehran's proxy and intelligence arms are willing to operate globally, using embassies and commercial covers as staging grounds. A senior Israeli analyst noted that Iran's message is not about Mexico, it's about deterrence and vengeance. They want to show that nowhere is truly safe for Israel. Experts in Tehran's security doctrine say that operations like this reflect a dual-track strategy: public diplomacy combined with covert retaliation. Following years of sabotage attacks, assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists, and regional proxy conflicts, Tehran has increasingly sought to strike back through asymmetric and deniable means. The IRGC's Quds force, officially tasked with exporting the revolution, often operates through foreign diplomatic missions and business fronts. Venezuela's long-standing alliance with Iran, both ideologically and economically, has provided Tehran with a friendly base in the Western Hemisphere. From there, Iranian operatives can establish logistics networks, recruit local assets, and coordinate with sympathetic or opportunistic groups, often under the guise of legitimate cultural or trade missions. The exposure of this plot reverberates far beyond Mexico. It raises new alarms about how Middle Eastern rivalries are spilling into Latin America, a region long considered outside the direct orbit of such conflicts. It also puts renewed pressure on Western and regional governments to tighten intelligence coordination. If a hostile state actor can allegedly plan an assassination in Mexico City, analysts warn other diplomatic or business hubs in Latin America could become vulnerable. Moreover, the revelation comes at a sensitive time. Tensions between Israel and Iran remain high, with Israeli forces on alert across multiple theaters from Syria and Lebanon to the Red Sea. Any direct attack on an Israeli diplomat could have triggered a severe retaliatory response, potentially escalating an already volatile global confrontation. The conflicting statements between Israel and Mexico highlight one of the biggest challenges in international counterintelligence: balancing secrecy and transparency. If Israel's version is accurate, it means Mexican intelligence quietly cooperated but avoided public acknowledgement for political reasons. If Mexico's denial is literal, it could indicate that the plot was neutralized entirely through foreign operations, raising sovereignty questions about unannounced counter-terror actions on Mexican soil. Either way, it underscores a broader truth: diplomatic targets are increasingly caught in the crossfire of invisible wars being waged in their host nations. Regional analysts suggest that Iran's Latin American footprint may be expanding through networks of front companies, religious centers, and political ties, especially in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Bolivia, all countries with long-standing partnerships with Tehran. Dr. Marina Zeron, a Latin America security specialist at the Autonomous University of Mexico, remarked that Tehran's use of Latin America as a base of operations is not new. What's new is the boldness of the targets. Former Israeli intelligence officers speaking anonymously to major news outlets, described the Thwarted operation as a wake-up call for Latin America's intelligence community. For Israel, the implications are profound. Its embassies and consulates worldwide may now reassess security protocols, particularly in countries with weaker counterintelligence systems. The Foreign Ministry is said to have initiated a global security review for all missions deemed exposed or geographically vulnerable. For the United States, the case reinforces its ongoing effort to contain Iran's global reach. It also serves as a signal that Washington remains deeply embedded in protecting allied personnel, even far from its own territory. For Mexico, the episode is an uncomfortable reminder that its neutrality does not guarantee insulation from geopolitical power struggles. The government's cautious tone may reflect its desire to avoid confrontation with any side, but experts warn that neutrality alone may not shield it from being used as a staging ground. The alleged Iranian plot to assassinate Israel's ambassador to Mexico, now declared foiled, reveals how the covert struggle between Tehran and Jerusalem has truly gone global. What began as a shadow conflict confined to the Middle East has evolved into a transcontinental contest spanning intelligence, cyber warfare, and targeted attacks. For now, US and Israeli officials insist the danger is contained. But the message resonates. The battle lines between nations are no longer confined to borders. They are being redrawn across continents, embassies, and even the quiet streets of Mexico City.